Welcome. Today, we're going to talk about 5 reasons that you're closer to that promotion than you think. So, if you're a woman leader and you've been waiting for that next promotion and you think you think you need to do more, you need to achieve more, or you need to prove more. But here's what I see when I work with women at your level. So, most of my clients are at director and senior leadership levels. So, one of those aspects, and this is not a reason yet, but you're already doing the work of that next level of leadership. One of my clients I'm working with, she's already acting at a director, vice president level, but is still only recognized and has the title of senior manager. So I want to dive into why your leadership can't see it just yet and really give you 5 reasons that you're closer than you think. All right. Before we get into that, I just wanted to let you know I'm Kim Rijmakers. I'm an ICF accredited executive coach with over 20 years of corporate leadership experience, and I help women leaders to stop being the best kept secret in their organizations and start getting the recognition, influence, and promotions they deserve. So make sure to hit that follow button to see new content as soon as it's available. And if you want to learn more about leading in today's corporate world as a woman in leadership. All right, let's dive into those reasons. Now, and I'd love to have, if you are interested and this is resonating, please drop a comment or a heart below in the comments and let me know which one of these is the one that you have like, oh, that is so me in this moment in time. All right, the first reason, you're the one that gets called every time something goes wrong. So when there's a crisis, when a complex problem comes up or something critical that needs fixing, guess who they call? It's like you're the Ghostbusters of your leaders of problems and crisis management. They trust you to resolve it. They know you're going to figure it out. That isn't just execution, because that is what I find a lot of women, when we begin looking at what they're doing, they're like, oh yeah, but that's just part of the job. That's just what is expected of me. Yes, and that is also strategic problem solving and showing that the leadership has trust in you. The gap that exists is you're not making your value visible beyond that moment of crisis management. So once you fixed it, once you have solved the fire, or and if you're still using the Ghostbuster analogy, if you have exorcised the ghost of the problem, you move on to the next problem without ever positioning with your leaders, or most of the time, not even telling them how you resolved it and the impact that it had. Well, guess what? That is strategic leadership. But what needs to happen is you need to engineer it so that your leaders also see what you have done, the impact of that, and how that led to a positive outcome, so that it gets back and it's attributed to you. Not just like, oh, great, we solved that problem. Number 2 is you're likely already doing the work 1 or 2 levels above your current role. So you're not just managing those responsibilities, but you're thinking ahead. You're anticipating the problems. You're connecting dots across your teams, and you're making decisions that impact the business at a higher level. So you're already operating with the scope and the complexity of a senior leader, except the gap here is you're buried in the details when you communicate about it. Now, so one of the clients I was working with, and she's like, you know what? I created the entire strategic rollout plan. I had everything ready for it to be just executed, but nobody knew that I had created the plan. My boss took it over and just was sharing like throughout the organization of how this strategy came together. Whereas when she was explaining it, she was like, okay, well, we've had this problem, this detail needs to be watched, this detail needs to be done, et cetera, which leads to like a kind of an overwhelm of details. And when you over explain that, when you walk through every single step, you're losing people, you're losing your boss, you're losing your leaders in the weeds. So while they see the work, they don't actually see the strategic thinking behind it. Number 3, You're protecting your leadership from the consequences of their decisions. Now, how often has this happened to you where you're like, if they had just asked me, I could have told them why this wouldn't have been a good decision. But now you're the one stuck with it. So when leadership makes decisions without you in the room, you're already the one who sees what's going to break. But instead of letting that fail, you're quietly fixing it. You're filling in the gaps. You're preventing an issue cropping up here because you're like, okay, well, I guess we could do it with this workaround, and then we kind of get to where we need to be. So in other words, you're already making their flawed decisions work. Well, then leadership really never feels the consequences of a poor decision because you've already solved all the problems that was created by the decision that was made. Guess what? That is strategic leadership. You're operating at a level where you can see around the corners and you can already prevent the disasters before they happen. Whereas the gap is in that you're not making this visible. Leadership doesn't know what you've prevented. It doesn't know what you fixed. They just think their decision worked perfectly because you made it work, right? It's like the laundry. I don't know about you. I hate laundry in my house because it seems to multiply on its own. But my children still seem to think that it magically goes from being dirty in their rooms to coming back clean on their beds, folded neatly. And they're like, oh my God, there's so much that happened in between. The same happens here for you because you're not making visible the problems that occurred. You're not making visible all the actions and the thinking that you had in order to solve it. They're going to keep making decisions without you, never realizing that they need you in the room where it happens because that creates better decisions. Now, number 4, you see what others don't. So the 4th reason of the 5 that show that you're closer to that promotion than you think is that you see what others don't. So when leadership announces a new strategy or a new initiative, you immediately see the gaps, the risks, the unintended consequences. And you're already thinking 3 steps ahead. Well, everybody else is on step 1. That is strategic thinking. That's next level leadership. I remember having this conversation with a boss of mine, and this is while I was still in corporate, and our big multinational was rolling out a new organizational structure. So we had previously been in a matrix, and now it was a sort of a matrix, but then again, not a whole complicated mess. And I remember coming out of that meeting where that was presented and we could ask questions, and our bosses were asking us, like, so what do you think? And I was like, this is so complex that you are now going to be stuck with organizations and divisions and teams that do not know who owns what part. That's going to slow down decision making. It's more complex. It didn't simplify the organization. It overcomplicated the organization. The response, I didn't get it. I wasn't seeing it clearly. Here's the catch. 6 months later, what I had seen already, what I had already evaluated of this new organizational structure was the exact feedback my boss was giving. I'm like, this is overcomplicated. People don't know who's owning what. There is a lack of decision structure. It's slow decision making. And then the comment came of like, it would have been good if someone could have seen this and said this at the time. And I was like, I'm sorry. I did say that at the time, and it was dismissed. So this is showcasing your strategic thinking when you can do this ahead of time already, and you already know this. That is getting dismissed. Hey, we can solve that together. But the gap in here is that you're not confident that the senior leaders beyond your boss are going to want to hear about this from you, because my boss at that point in time dismissed me so harshly, or just like so clearly. I just thought, like, why would I go to other senior leaders and share my concerns? Like, maybe I am the one that isn't seeing this right. So because I think I thought I didn't have anything of value to share and to offer them, I kept quiet after providing that first bit of insight for my bosses. So this is how your strategic thinking stays invisible. Now, number 5, this is the last reason, is you're being told you're not quite ready, but you can't figure out what is missing. Because the truth is, it has nothing to do with your capability. It has nothing to do with your accomplishments and the results that you've been getting. What it has to do with is what's missing for you is you haven't engineered the visibility of your value, your thinking, your capabilities, and you haven't positioned yourself as the obvious choice for that next step. You're avoiding promoting yourself because, hey, you know what? If I talk about my achievements, people should just know like what I do and what I accomplish. Self-promotion feels like you're bragging. It just feels icky. So you don't know how to engineer your visibility in a way that feels authentic. You're not sure how to communicate your accomplishments and strategic thinking without feeling like you're bragging. So what happens is now leadership sees you as really capable. Hey, you know what? If we need to get results, we need like someone to execute this to a T, that's who we need to get a hold of. That's who needs to be in charge of it, but not the person to invite to the room to make the decisions because they're not really strategic enough. So you're being seen as someone who gets things done, but not as someone that shapes the direction. So where you get to the gap that you get to bridge with this is start learning how to make your strategic thinking visible in a way that feels like it's you. Not that you're starting to play politics or you feel like you're on the beating your chest, bragging train. Because for most women that I work with, and if this sounds like you get really uncomfortable when you start to want to highlight all of the work that you did. And instead, you start deflecting it to like, hey, here's what my team accomplished. Now, here's what I know. I've given you 5 reasons, right? Number 1, they call you when things go wrong. Number 2, you're doing the work already 1 to 2 levels above you. Number 3, you're fixing or actually protecting your leadership from the consequence of their decisions because you're fixing it before it even gets to their level. Number 4, you see things that others don't. And number 5, you're getting the feedback that you're not quite ready yet, but you're not sure what's missing. So what I know is that you don't need to work harder because too often what I see, and I used to do this as well, is I would double down. I'm like, okay, I got to pick up more projects. I got to produce more results. I got to achieve more. But that's like running on a treadmill, hoping that you're going to get to the grocery store. Well, if you're in your house running on the treadmill, no matter how hard you run, no matter how long you run on that treadmill, you're not going anywhere than that treadmill. You're not going to get to your destination. So what needs to happen is rather than hoping for a result in the next performance round, hoping, well, if I wait another year, I'm sure they're going to see it. It is about engineering the visibility for you in the right way to the right people. That's it. That is the big secret that people are likely not telling you. And I want to give it to you straight. Start engineering the visibility today with the right people throughout the organization and even externally, especially if you want to switch roles and switch organizations, you still need to engineer the visibility for the value that you're creating, for the strategic thinking that you're showing, for the vision that you have. And that is what is going to start moving that needle forward. Now, if you're ready to close that gap and you're like, okay, Kim, I'm on it. I want to get promoted like in the next 3 to 6 months or even faster. Sometimes it goes even faster with some of my clients. Then I've got some limited spots for one-on-one executive coaching. And if you're ready to start making your strategic thinking visible and position yourself for that promotion, I want you to DM me promotion. And we will start a conversation as to how that goes along, how that happens. And if you're still sticking around at this point of the video, if any one of these 5 reasons, it resonates with you, drop an emoji in the comments. Just drop a heart or drop a smiley and tell me which one of these 5 hits home for you. Thank you so much for watching.